Well, here we are, smack dab in the middle of Hallow Thanks Mass Eve. Just as soon as school had started back, the stores took away the back-to-school gear and put out the Halloween gear, and now it's the Thanksgiving gear and Christmas. Oh, I was in Home Goods the other day, and it really looked like Santa had kind of thrown up in there. And there's the gold and silver New Year's Eve stuff, and just as soon as the after-Christmas sales are done, they'll put up the Valentine's stuff. So we can anticipate the next wave and color of M&Ms that you can only get at a certain time of year. And soon all our media, if not already all our media, both traditional and alternative and social, will be telling us about the best gift, the best recipe. I got a catalog from Amazon the other day. Really? Did you get this? The everything you could possibly need for everyone gift catalog from Amazon? I was like, Land's End I can take, not Amazon. Come on. So this got me thinking about gifts, and one of the core tenets of my belief in life of how reality works is that there are gifts wrapped in stinky paper. Some of you have heard me say this before. I believe in it. Gifts wrapped in stinky paper. The gifts that grow in our awareness after, sometimes long after, a pain or a trauma has befallen us. I have 3 stories today. One of a film, one of a civil rights activist, and one of a celebrity. But these are only a few of an infinite number. We each have these stories in our lives because we are human. Each of us, every single one of us, has experienced some combination of pain, loss, betrayal, disappointment, estrangement, shame, addiction, failure, and so on. We've each experienced these losses. And we each have the opportunity to discover the gift wrapped up in that stinky paper. Now, I think this phrase is fairly self-explanatory, but there are pieces to this. You get the gift, you don't want it, it stinks. It's rotten. The betrayal or the shame or the loss or the estrangement or the name them, we do. And there are steps. You got to unwrap it. You got to do the work. Otherwise, it just sits there on your desk, on your heart, in your brain, unprocessed, stinking up the place. I have to unwrap it, see what it is, work my way through it. I don't work through it on my own. I work with an excellent therapist. That's just me. I have said that I would no more go without therapy than I would without brushing my teeth. That helps me be present for you and for me and for my family. You open it up. I process it. I look at it. I see what it is. I feel the pain of it, feel the betrayal of it, feel the loss, the estrangement. And sometime, if I'm lucky, and I do the work well and have people to help me, and I live in community and I talk about it, maybe some way down the line, I'll discover that there's a gift in that. Then I'm able to be in the world. We are able to be in a world in a way that we would not have been had we not had the stinky gift. That's what I mean. It's not rocket science. It's just my shorthand for that long process of understanding that gratitude is transformative. So here are a few stories that I pulled this week as I was thinking about it. Again, you can see all these stories everywhere and see them in your own lives. I'm looking at you and seeing the stories that you've told me, the stories that have made you who you are right now, productive and loving and lovely and generous-hearted and creative, that come out of those difficult places. Several weeks ago, Dennis Dake referred a movie to me. He recommended a movie to me that Chuck Lauder had recommended to him. We were talking about it when we were doing the Amos work around housing and homelessness. And he said, "Oh, Kelly, I've seen this movie. You got to watch this movie." And I didn't have time to watch the movie. I didn't have time to watch the movie. And then I'd see Dennis and I'd kind of go, yeah. And finally, I was having a meeting with Dennis on this week, and I thought, dadgummit, I got to watch that movie. I'm tired of telling him I haven't had time to see it. So I was, doing whatever I was doing, cooking that morning. I thought, I'll just watch it while I am doing that. It's called The Public, about an event at the Cincinnati Public Library. Have any of you seen The Public? I put it in the newsletter this week, and so I thought some people might watch it. I'm glad you did. Here's the story. Emilio Estevez wrote and directed this, and he plays Stuart Goodson, who is a librarian at the Cincinnati Public Library. And boy, they really get a lot right, I think, about public libraries, about being one of the few places that public places that people can come in the world without needing to spend any money. And how people line up waiting to get into the library when it opens in the morning. And there's this bit about people going to the reference desk asking the most bizarre questions. And in the film, these questions all came from actual questions that librarians had gotten. I need a color picture of George Washington. Do you have a life-size globe? The answer was, yes, we do, but it's in use. These wonderful, wonderful questions, and you just know the librarian was like, yeah, okay, let's see how we can answer that. And the relationships among the people who are unhoused in this city on a bitterly, bitterly cold snap in Cincinnati. And the shelters are full. And one day, this group of people, we've gotten to know them over the course of the film, and they decide, these are all men who are in the library, and they decide they're not going outside. A homeless person has already died from exposure, and these men decide they're not going outside, and they stage this civil disobedience action inside the library. And Stuart Goodson, the librarian, has to decide, is he with them or is he going to be on the side of the police and try to rouse them out? So it's very much his story, and not unlike some other stories, we get the point of view of sort of the white savior, but not completely, because we learn about his brokenness too, and we learn over the course of the film that he himself has dealt with addiction, and he himself has dealt with homelessness, and has a criminal background. And the library gave him another chance. That's how he got his job. And so it really follows the story of what will happen in the standoff with the police. And I'm not going to give away the entirely satisfying ending. Wasn't that a satisfying ending? I'm looking at you, Dennis. It is so worth seeing. But it is about dignity. It is about dignity when everything else has been taken away. So where's the gratitude in Stinky Paper here? Well, Stuart Goodson would never have asked for this day to happen in his work life. He would never have asked to have had a criminal record or to have fought with addiction or to have had his own experience of homelessness. He would never have asked for those very stinky gifts. But because We think because he was given another chance, because he was part of a community, because he was doing meaningful work, because he had done his own recovery kind of work. He was able to be in relationship and find his strength, a strength he had no idea he had. He was not an activist when this started out. But he found his integrity. And that's the piece of the story. That's the story. It is a gorgeous movie. And I was so proud to shake Dennis Dake's hand and said, I watched it. And was very grateful for that recommendation. I think any number of people could watch that film and take several other messages away from it. Of course, it's got a strong social justice message. But because this was my theme, I was looking for this everywhere. And that's what I want to say, is that you can find it in all sorts of places, even if that's not the top line of the story, even if that's not the blurb of the story. I think these stories are everywhere. How our own transformation of hardship becomes a gift to us and then a gift to others. My second story is about Fannie Lou Hamer. Do you all know who Fannie Lou Hamer is? Great civil rights activist. And she said this. She said, I had never heard until 1962, I think she was in her 40s at that time, I had never heard that Black people could register and vote. She was 45. The next day, after she heard that, she lived in Mississippi. She was on a bus with 17 other people headed to the county seat in Indianola, Mississippi, to register. Only she and one other person were allowed to take the literacy test, and they had to answer questions about the Mississippi Constitution and de facto laws of the state. She said, I knowed about as much about a de facto law as a horse knows about Christmas Day. Both she and the other test taker failed, but Fannie Lou Hamer said that she would return until she passed that test. It was no small task. At that time in Mississippi, if you registered to vote, your name and address ran in the paper for 2 weeks so that the KKK and other white supremacist organizations could terrorize you if you were Black, right? It's not the first time for authoritarianism, folks. On their way home from Indianola, Hamer and the others were stopped by the police, who said that their bus was the wrong color. And they were fined. And when she finally made it home, the plantation owner where she was working, you know that the end of slavery didn't mean the end of the plantation system, right? So the plantation owner already knew about what she had done and told Fannie Lou Hamer that if she didn't withdraw her registration, that she'd have to leave. She lived on the plantation. She worked there for low wages, and that she'd have to leave. And she said, I didn't go down there to register for you. I went down to register for myself. And she was forced to leave. She came to the Baptist church after she'd been ordered off the plantation, recalled the former SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, organizer Dora Chernett. And Miss Chernett said, we sang freedom songs together and somebody played the piano, and Miss Hamer said in this strong, authoritative voice, they kicked me off the plantation and they set me free. It was the best thing that could happen. Now I can work for my people. And she spent the rest of her life doing just that. She eventually passed that literacy test, and she paid the poll tax so she could vote, and she worked to register others. She said, if I had any sense, I'd have been a little scared. But what's the point of being scared? The only thing that the whites could do was kill me, and it seemed like they'd been trying to do that a little bit at a time since I could remember. That story of losing security, the ground beneath our feet, where we live, how we work, to do the thing that allows us to participate as citizens. I would reckon that most of us in this room don't know quite what that would be like. I know I don't know quite what that would be like. But I am moved, and I am moved by that story of losing everything is the best thing that could have happened to me. Whoa. Imagine. I think there is a little danger for me in glorifying oppression. Well, it makes people stronger. Maybe, but what if we didn't have that to begin with? I don't want to glorify oppression. I do want to say that out of the harshest difficulties can come our greatest gifts and ability to make the world better for other people. Music is a great gift. We have a great gift today, and I think I'll ask you to offer us a little interlude, if you will.
It is hunting, for me study. Your shining eye watches the wall, my feeble eye is fixed on a book. You rejoice when your claws entrap a mouse. I rejoice when my mind fathoms a problem. Pleased with his own art, neither hinders the other. Thus we live ever, without tedium and envy.
Those of us who have pets know how they enrich our lives and how we grieve them when they are gone. That enrichment remains with us. I want to say just a couple of things about what's happening today as I get back into this second part of the sermon. We would never wish for homelessness and hunger in our community. And yet, there are ways that this community comes together to create joy out of need. So today is the Good Neighbor Concert at 2 o'clock at St. Cecilia's Catholic Church, and many members of this congregation will be singing. in a combined choir. And so we are proud to be partners with the Good Neighbor Emergency Assistance, and they are going to need all the support and help that they can get in these coming days, weeks, and months. So we may as well be joyful and make music as we create community together. So here's my story of a celebrity. I go to the church of Stephen Colbert every morning. I don't stay up to watch his show, but I watch it online every morning. And he's been pretty public about this loss in his life. In 1974, Stephen Colbert was 10 years old, the youngest of 10 siblings in a very close-knit Catholic family in South Carolina. In September of that year, his father, James, who was a physician and an academic, and the two brothers closest to Stephen in age, Peter and Paul, a tragedy befell this family. His father and his two brothers were killed in a plane crash that was making a short flight from Charleston to Charlotte, North Carolina. The incident shaped Mr. Colbert in profound and lasting ways. He said, "I was personally shattered." And then you reform yourself in this quiet, grieving world that was created in the house. My mother had me to take care of, which was in some ways a gift to her, a sense of purpose she had. But I also had her to take care of. It became a very quiet house, very dark, and ordinary concerns of childhood disappeared. Later, journalist Anderson Cooper, on his podcast, All There Is, had a conversation with Mr. Colbert. Cooper said, "You told an interviewer that you have learned to love the thing that you most wish had not happened. Learn to love the thing that you most wish had not happened. Do you really believe that?" And Colbert answers, "Yes. It's a gift to exist, and with existence comes suffering. There's no escaping that. But if you are grateful for your life, which is a positive thing to do, and not everybody is, and I'm not always, but it's a positive thing to do, then you have to be grateful for all of it. You can't pick and choose what you're grateful for. So what do you get from loss? You get awareness of other people's loss, which allows you to connect with that person, which allows you to love more deeply, to understand what it's like to be a human being and to connect with them, and to understand that all of us suffer, and it makes us grateful for the fact that we have suffered so we can know about other people. He says, what of God's punishments are not also gifts? That's not the language that I use. What of God's punishments are not also gifts? But I think it's the same theology. It's about the fullness of humanity, he says. What's the point of being here and human if you can't be the most human you can be? I want to be the most human, which means acknowledging and ultimately being grateful for the things I wish didn't happen, because they give us this gift. I think that's a stretch, and I sure don't think he thought it when he was 10 years old. But now at this point in his life, having worked with it and reflected on it and learned with it and fought with it, for sure, you know, he can appreciate this gift. Beloveds, if there was ever a time that we need to be grateful for our lives, it is in this moment of despair. How can we possibly be grateful as we see the structures of democracy teetering, as we see authoritarianism rising? How in the world can we be grateful for it? I don't know, but I can be grateful for you. We can be grateful for each other. We can be grateful that we hold hope together, that we bring our questions and our disturbance here and share a cup of coffee and a little treat and sing together. I know that I can go on because we come together to go on together. That's the hope. That's the gift. And we'll unwrap it together. Blessed be and amen.